Yeah, I would definitely say that bees are a good way. You know, they're social insects, and so there's a lot of complexity. They're not just bugs. There's a lot going on with bees, and they're pretty much fascinating. You know, as long as you can control them to the point where kids aren't getting hurt or getting stung, they're really fascinating to watch and to see them doing their daily activities. You know, anytime you're sitting watching a hive, there's constant activity. You have bees coming and going, bringing in resources. Other ones making house cleaning runs. Others go and get water. I mean, my kids personally are fascinated by them.
The basics to getting started to beekeeping are, of course, to get your hive. A lot of the bee companies will have a starter kit that it's called. It includes the basic hive, the stand, the frames that go inside, the smoker, the hive tool, yeah, the basic things that you need to get started. Then you can either do it the way I did it and find a hive somewhere, or get on a list to go remove a hive. Hives swarm a lot around here in the spring, and there's usually plenty of those to be found if you can get in contact with somebody that removes bees and looks to give them a good home. Or you can order them online. There are lots of local beekeepers that do set up. They make queens, they make their own queens, and they set up a hive for you, or what is called a nuke. It's a much shorter version of a regular 8 to 10 frame hive, and it's a little starter bee set, and you can set that up in your hive, and the queen is separate, and you release her into there, and it should take.
There are several bee organizations and clubs throughout the state. The biggest one, or the statewide one, is the Louisiana Beekeepers Association. They have a website. They host a convention every year somewhere in the state, usually 2 or 3 days. And it's just, everybody that's in the industry in the state, if they want to, goes to the convention and talks about bees. If you're more of a forum type person, one of the best forums I can recommend is beemaster.com. It's free, it's open forum. There's a lot of knowledge on that website. It's, a lot of old timers, trying to pass on the knowledge to the younger people that are starting to get interested. But they're definitely out there. It's just a matter of going online and taking a little time to seek them out.
There's a magazine, Bee Culture, dedicated just to beekeepers. There's companies like Man Lake, Brushy Bee, a lot of different companies that do specifically bee-related stuff. Some things you can pick up, in hardware stores. Starting right with bees, this actually comes with some of the bee kits that I talked about that you can get from companies. They send you a book.
Besides honey, the hive supplies us with many things. The hive itself, bees are worth money. Other, people want bees. Part of my business is selling bees to people that are just getting started. So the bees themselves, which includes the entire hive. Besides honey, once you do some refining, you can get pollen, which is just great. That's what gives honey the properties to help with allergies. Comes from the pollen. Propolis is another product of the hive. It's also known as bee glue, basically. It's what they use to seal and sanitize the inside of the boxes or the structure wherever they are. It has antimicrobial properties, antibacterial properties, antifungal properties. I mean, it's miracle stuff. And then the wax, the actual components of the hive are made from beeswax, and the beeswax can be refined and used to make, candles, soap, chapstick. There's any number of cosmetic products have honeybee wax in there. And then there's also, the nectar. Royal jelly has very good antioxidant and reparative properties. It's just a matter of, extracting it. But pretty much everything in the hive is usable in some form or another. And most of it has medical properties that have been used for thousands of years.
There is not really any right way to keep bees, unless you're just keeping them alive. That, of course, is the basis. There's a lot of different types of hives. The ones that we work with are the Langstroth, the most widely used. There's top bar hives. There's all different kinds of hives and different ways to keep them. There's different ways to keep them. There's different ways that you can feed them. Some people check them all the time. Some people check them occasionally. It also depends on what purpose you're keeping bees. If you're keeping bees to harvest honey, you're going to put a lot more effort into it and a lot more work into it. I guess the only right way is to keep them happy and going.
There's so much to learn from bees. They don't do any bad in the world. I mean, yes, individual bees can sting you and it can hurt, but they only do that out of self-defense. When you look at what honeybees do, they don't do, we could learn so much as a society from them. Everything they do is beneficial. They pollinate, they bring in honey, they create wax, just all these positive things come from bees. And they don't kill, they don't hurt, everything they do is constructive, they don't destroy. They just build and they just create good.
Bees are just incredibly fascinating. It's amazing how they make the honey, how these tiny little creatures travel thousands of miles throughout their lifetime to get this little bit of nectar and pollen and honey.